think the biggest challenge is to have to balance everybody's interest. For investors, they have a lot of interest, a lot of requirements that expect the corporations have to comply or follow. But then for internally for corporations, because there are lots of priorities, and we may require lots of investment for implementing all those new initiatives. So we have to get the balance between what is expected by our stakeholders and what can be done by the corporation.
There's a bit of a transition from turning consultancy into NGO. I think in some sense, my transition is a bit of a gentle one, because when I first entered environmental NGO, at that time, my role is more about industry support. So it's consultancy with more than one client in some sense. When I was in consultancy, I usually is one-to-one client. Each project, one client, they have the concerns, they have the party to deal with. Sometimes in the old days, it's about compliance, like Jessica mentioned, and like what you just said. So it's mostly about dealing on behalf of the government for private organization, or sometimes even public organization, but to comply requirements of the Hong Kong Environmental Protection Department. So at that time, knowing laws and regulation is useful. But when I first moved to environmental NGO, I do it on behalf of industry groups that might represent very similar needs and requirements, but more than one person. So it's more gentle one. As time goes on and as I mature, obviously at that time that I will need to advance my skill to creating projects that is for the good of the industry instead of sorting one problem. So I have to be more advanced to the advocacy part, like for example, waste challenges in Hong Kong, carbon, climate change related issues like energy efficiencies in Hong Kong. So from just dealing with project where I get paid, I will spend more portion of my life talking about something that the Hong Kong government or the industries request to the government. So I have to start writing up technical or papers on behalf of the industry, whereby I have to collect different views from different stakeholders and express it to a government, finding the right person, more senior officials from department head, senior officers, to even the secretary for the environment. And so my skills advanced a bit, whereby that is towards the advocacy part of environmental NGO. You drive changes instead of respond to compliance. So that is a transition. But when I come to the corporate, obviously the corporate will think that whether it's a good thing that you have a lot of corporate training, or what you had in the past will help the mandate. So it depends on the role and responsibility for the post. And because my post within the Swire Coca-Cola Hong Kong is rather advanced and a more senior post, so my past experience of technical consultancy dealing with compliance is useful. My understanding of industry trend and evaluation and different progress and where you can seek help is useful. Consolidating some strategic thinking, needs, and aspiration, not only within our organization, but in the industry and to the government, that is useful. So it's more like a transition point of what I do. What I've been doing in each industry certainly is not the way. It's actually a build up to what I am able to contribute to my role and responsibility. Like I mentioned, I have to provide technical advice. I have to liaise with different NGOs. I have to work with different NGOs. I have to talk to the government. I have to talk to my colleagues about government requirements and industry aspiration and what we should do technically and strategically. So that is the progress I made. And what I had, not only just in consultancy, but NGOs really helped my role in here to a lot of degrees whereby people think that I will be the knowledge hub in terms of not just technical, but non-technical issues.
For my role now, I think the biggest challenge is to have to balance everybody's interests. For investors, they have a lot of interest, a lot of requirements that expect the corporations have to comply or follow. But then internally for corporations, because there are lots of priorities, and we may require lots of investment for implementing also new initiatives. So we have to get the balance between what is expected by our stakeholders and what can be done by the corporations. So I think this is the most difficult part that we have to, figure out when we, introduce some new initiative for the corporations. For new for undergraduates, I think to prepare them to, start their career, they have to broaden their, knowledge, because apart from the, what they learn from the university, they also have to know about the new or emerging trends, what are the global trends is about sustainability, and learn more from peer companies' experience. How do they deal with it, and what is the best example, and how can they persuade the management to go forward to do more about sustainability? And also, it's difficult to get management buy-ins, because for now, I would say some of the companies still think about sustainability is a greenwash or nice to have items, but actually it's not. When you talk to the investor and other stakeholders, and you will know what's the real world thinking, and we have to bring these ideas to the top management and educate them about what we have to do and what are the potential risks that we have to face if we fail to follow these kinds of emerging trends. So these are all things that students can learn from other companies' examples, the successful story, or even why they are failures. I think this is important to equip them to be part of the sustainability professional. Well, I would say, yeah, most of the graduate now, well, they have a higher degrees, not only a bachelor, and sometimes, well, when we recruit new staff, yeah, they will have a higher degrees for now. But I would say practical experience is more important than what you have learned from the university. The university just gave you the basic information about what is it, but then how to apply it in the real world, and then you have to practice. So I would say you can try after finish your bachelor degrees and look for jobs that you like, and of course you have to start from not a very high position, but then you can learn from it and get yourself prepared for a high position.
Suzanne?
Thank you, Glenn. I share a view of Jessica, but I'd just like to share some of my real life experience on really, really driven young professionals who's just graduated and perhaps didn't get the right degree and worry about it. And what I see nowadays as a lot in the market is flooded with people, flooded with probably the same qualification. My experience, those who get the chance are the ones who are very proactive. And certainly from my perspective, people who are proactive with me, then I say, I might give you more chance. You seem driven, you know. I think attitude counts, from my perspective. And education, you can like Jessica mentioned it. When you get the right chance, impress the right people, you may able to advance yourself. I give you a one classic example of one of my very, very proud young professional. He studied finance when he's in a very prestigious university in London. He never has sustainability training, but he's driven to be one. So what he did is that he was studying in UK at the time, but as a student, and he wrote to me in Hong Kong because he's a Hong Kong Chinese and say, "Can I work for you?" I said, "Okay, I need an interview. It's okay. I don't mind hiring an intern. Doesn't really hurt me." So I interviewed, and it was lucky he was able to through with me. But nowadays, I presume you can use Zoom. And he was very well presented, not just technical knowledge, but it is eagerness to learn. And when I hired him, I was so impressed with him. And he was working 5 times harder than my managers. I give him questions. He gave it to me the next day. I said, "I gave it to you 5. He said, "I worked till 3. I said, "You don't need to. You are a student." And he really, really impresses me. And he asked me a lot of questions. So I was so impressed that I decided within the internship period, I let him shadow me. As in, like, apart from very, very confidential stuff, he stayed in my room and listened to everything. So he learned a lot. And after he left, he only spent about 1.5 with me. He kept contacting me, asking me questions that I would never envisage myself to do that when I was young. I was too timid to do that. But he was proactive, asking me questions. What should I do? What should I study? Can you be my referee? Etc., etc. And he became a very well-trained professional and be ready. And he was immediately taken as a corporate to become a graduate. And he wasn't really have the right training. He just had a couple of internships for me, well-driven, prepared for him for some CPD, and it really managed to help himself to transit to the industry he aspired to into. And he's still in the industry right now, and we are friends.